No one believed Canada would ever test it. Not this jet, not this country. For years, the talk was all about America's F-35, the invisible, untouchable symbol of air dominance. Billions poured in, decades of promises. But behind the scenes, in the frozen silence of northern air bases, something unexpected took flight. A jet that wasn't supposed to exist in this conversation. A Swedish fighter, lean, clever, and brutally efficient, quietly entered Canadian airspace for a set of secret evaluations. And what happened next is now echoing all the way to Washington. For decades, Canada's fighter future seemed locked in the shadow of the United States. The two nations shared defense agreements, NORAD patrols, and Arctic responsibilities. When it came to replacing Canada's aging CF-18s, most assumed the answer was automatic. Buy American, stay loyal to the alliance, keep it simple. But simple turned out to be complicated. The F-35, while advanced, came with problems. Sky-high maintenance costs, delays, limited adaptability to Canada's harsh northern conditions. So when Ottawa opened a competitive fighter competition, something remarkable happened. Sweden showed up. Sweden, a small neutral country with no superpower ambitions, dared to offer its latest creation, the Saab Gripen E. A jet smaller, cheaper, but arguably smarter than anything in its class. At first, defense insiders laughed. A single-engine Scandinavian jet competing against America's stealth monster? Impossible. But Sweden had done its homework. The Gripen wasn't built for show. It was built for survival. Designed to take off from highways, serviced by 5 people in the snow, and equipped with electronic warfare systems so sharp it could jam and trick enemy radars that cost 10 times more. While others spent billions, Sweden just used brains. In 2018, Canada's competition moved into a secretive evaluation phase, tests that pushed jets and systems to their limits under real operational conditions. Publicly, not much was said. Privately, the rumors started. Test pilots whispered about how fast the Gripen's radar could refresh, how it could detect targets the F-35 couldn't, how its data links allowed entire formations to see what one jet saw, instantly.
One evaluator described it this way: the Gripen felt like flying inside a network, not a jet, a brain.
It wasn't just about speed or stealth, it was about adaptability. Canada needed fighters that could survive without US support, repair themselves in remote Arctic strips, and operate under harsh conditions where satellites might fail. Gripen checked those boxes, elegantly. Meanwhile, in Washington, eyebrows began to rise. The Pentagon had spent 2 decades pushing the F-35 as the universal solution, a one-size-fits-all stealth fighter. But here was a European design that quietly exposed the flaw in that logic. What if agility, independence, and cost-effectiveness mattered more than sheer complexity? Then came the turning point, an evaluation flight that later became legend among defense insiders. During one high-intensity data link and sensor fusion test, the Gripen reportedly managed to track multiple targets before the American platform could even register a single one. Its electronic warfare suite, a system developed with a deep understanding of NATO and Russian frequencies, simulated jamming patterns that stunned the evaluators.
No one confirmed it officially, but within military circles the phrase started spreading. Gripen saw first.
That was the moment Washington realized something. The monopoly on modern air power thinking might be cracking. But how did Sweden pull this off? Simple. They never tried to copy the giants. While the US designed for dominance, Sweden designed for survival. Gripen wasn't meant to hide forever like the F-35. It was meant to outsmart, outcommunicate, and outlast. The Gripen E's brain, a sensor fusion system rivaling anything in the world, allowed it to connect seamlessly with ground radar, drones, and other fighters. In a real war, that meant every Gripen could act as a mini AWACS, sharing radar pictures instantly, forming a living, breathing swarm of awareness. That concept fascinated Canada's Air Force planners. In the Arctic, where communication and logistics are a nightmare, a jet that could think for itself, and for the others, was a dream come true. Still, politics stood in the way. The US was watching closely. The F-35 program wasn't just a jet, it was a geopolitical instrument, a web of alliances tied to American defense industry and strategy. If Canada picked the Gripen, it would send a signal far louder than any missile test. It would mean a NATO ally dared to step out of Washington's shadow. By late 2021, as evaluations wrapped up, rumors of the Gripen's strong performance spread through defense forums and pilot circles. Many believed it had technically outperformed expectations, and in some aspects, even rivaled the F-35. But politics, as always, had the final say. Ottawa ultimately leaned toward the American offer. Still, something had changed. The test proved that a small nation's design could go toe-to-toe with the most expensive jet ever built, and make Washington nervous in the process. Gripen had won something even bigger than a contract. It had won respect. Across Europe and South America, the whispers grew louder. Brazil began expanding its Gripen program. Finland took a serious look. Even NATO commanders quietly acknowledged the Swedish jet was redefining what 4.5 generation really meant. Because here's the irony. While the US poured hundreds of billions into stealth, Sweden focused on making a fighter that survives when stealth fails. A jet that can fly from frozen roads, launch advanced missiles, spoof enemy sensors, and return for another run before the enemy even knows what happened. Gripen doesn't hide from radar. It confuses it. It doesn't overwhelm the sky. It outthinks it. That philosophy, brains over bulk, is now shaping air power debates from Ottawa to Canberra. Washington's reaction was subtle but telling. Reports emerged of new focus on distributed operations, agile combat employment, and low-cost attritable platforms. Sound familiar? Those are Gripen's core ideas: decentralized, survivable, flexible. In other words, the world's superpower quietly started borrowing lessons from a jet it once ignored. And Canada's quiet tests? They lit the fuse. Because after those flights, NATO planners couldn't unsee what they saw. A small, affordable, battle-ready fighter, fully interoperable, yet free from heavy political strings. The kind of jet a middle power could actually own, not just lease from Washington's influence. Today, the Gripen continues to evolve. Its latest variants boast new sensors, jamming pods, and advanced AI mission software. It remains the favorite of pilots who've flown both Western and Eastern designs: agile, intuitive, unpretentious. And even though Canada didn't officially choose it, the test flights changed something deep inside its defense conversation. When the next procurement wave comes, the question won't just be, how stealthy is it? It will be, how independent does it make us? Because in a world of giant budgets and bloated promises, the Gripen story proved something profound. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. In the end, that's what shook Washington. Not a missile launch, not a secret weapon, but the realization that the next revolution in air power might come from a country that doesn't even brag about it. Sweden's little jet didn't just survive the competition, it rewrote the rules of it. And as Canada's pilots quietly admitted after those tests, it wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the loudest, but it might just be the smartest. Because in a sky full of giants, the smallest jet, once tested in secret, became the one that made them all look up.